But right now, we are joined by none other than Specific Mills for a breaking news update. Mills, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. What a wonderful day.
For those who maybe aren't really catching on to the title, to the thumbnail, what are we talking about today?
Today, the judge, Helen, in Norway, officially awarded the verdict for the Hodlonaut versus Craig Wright case, which we were covering for 7 days in September. And it was a very sweeping verdict. We can go through, some of the specifics, but the claim, the general claim for Craig Wright, which is and the verdict is like 26 pages in Norwegian. So I'm basing this off of the translation. But Craig Wright's claim was that Hodlonaut's statements were defamatory and an invasion of privacy, and that they were unlawful, and that they impacted Craig Wright's professional and personal sense of honor and reputation. So defamation and libel. And as we've explained, the case for the judge to make the ruling on whether or not that claim holds is based on the judge's ruling whether Hodlonaut was wrong in saying that. So that would imply the closest ruling that we've had to saying that Craig Wright is not Satoshi. So the judge had to make a judgment assessment based on all of the evidence, all of the witnesses, the statements from both lawyers, whether or not Craig Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto, for her to then assess the 9 tweets in question in this case, the libel defamation tweets, whether they were unlawful and not protected under Norwegian free speech.
And so this is really exciting. I know we spent a lot of time discussing this story and uh, see this trial finally come to a decision. I guess my next question for you, Mills, is just sort of what does this mean? What are the next steps, and where do we go from here?
It'll be interesting to see how this ruling will impact the current case, ongoing case in the UK, because the UK case is about 1 tweet specifically, and the Norwegian case is about 9. There was a lot of motion to try to get the case in the UK dismissed as it was redundant, but because they had changed the scope, to my understanding, to make it a different number of tweets, basically, so that it wasn't an identical case as the one in Norway. So that the next proceedings for that UK case have been scheduled for December. It'll be very interesting to see how this ruling will impact that case. I don't know. I mean, obviously, this is amazing news for Hodlonaut. This is a very definitive, the court said they have concluded that Hodlonaut's statements are not unlawful, and there is no responsibility for the statements that he made in a legal sense, and meaning financial and non-financial damages, regardless of where the damage occurred. And there is a lot of breaking down specifically how the judge reached this verdict in the statement. And it talks a lot about the general consensus, other publications, articles that have been published citing a lot of 2015 and 2016, saying it isn't actually that this is specifically Hodlonaut's opinion, and that there is actually a good deal of consensus within other publications as well. So that, not that that was, the cause for, but it was reinforcing that these statements were kind of in keeping with a lot of general thought and general consensus. And one thing, because this is not a criminal case, this did not have to be proven beyond the shadow of a doubt. It had to be likely. That was so it had to be likely and probable. And so based on all the evidence that was presented, all of the testimonies, the general consensus of media publications and a lot of other individuals as well, The court ruled that it is widely held belief and not a specific smear campaign or targeted attack by Hodlonaut onto Craig Wright.
This is all really exciting, and we're really glad to sort of see this justice come to light and see the court see this decision. Uh, I think we want to. I'm going to pull Hodlonaut up now because we actually have the man we are discussing now. Hodlonaut, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. You must be so relieved and so excited hearing this court's decision.
Hey guys, yeah, very happy. I think is the correct way to describe my feelings right now. I'm just really happy that all this work, all this time, all this conviction in standing by truth has actually been recognized by the court in a good judgment, I think. I mean, you could always dream of even more spelled out verdicts, but I think there is a lot in this judgment that will it creates a momentum that I think will be very hard to turn around for the future legal happenings regarding Craig Wright being Satoshi.
I saw, and Mills, apologies if you brought this up during my technical issues. The court, actually, or the judge wrote in her decision how there was not enough, if I'm remembering this phrase, there was not enough evidence to prove that Craig Wright is not Satoshi Nakamoto. Is that the accurate way?
Well, you said it wrong. Sorry.
Oh.
There wasn't sufficient evidence for Craig Wright to prove that he is Satoshi Nakamoto.
Thank you. And could we just discuss, like, on the topic of the momentum that this carries, like, how impactful does that become for future cases? Because this is Hodlonaut. You are just unfortunately one notch in Craig's belt. I believe, Chris, we have a document of all of the different court cases that are coming up as well of Craig Wright that he has. Yes, cool. Mills, do you mind explaining to our audience a little bit, like, what exactly are we looking at? What is this supposed to be showing them, and who is documenting all of this?
Yeah, there's actually Arthur Van Pelt has a different document as well in there. Sorry, Chris, I'm not sure if you can find that. It kind of has the status on the various cases that have happened, both in the past, that are ongoing, that are open, and that are, because this is not, as much as, we've been very focused in on this specific case, on the Hodlonaut versus Craig Wright in Oslo case. There are cases against developers. There are a lot of cases that are happening that, haven't had as much talk about them and not as much awareness. But there is and I can find the link to and we can share it. There is a good document that Arthur Van Pelt has done, kind of highlighting and breaking down what each of the cases are. And I know we've said it a million times, but Hodlonaut also has a UK case with Craig currently that the next step is scheduled for December. There hasn't been any update, or is there anything as far as that case that is directly impacted, or is that too soon to know?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
The UK hearing scheduled for December, do you anticipate this ruling will affect that in the near future, or is it too early to kind of speculate?
I obviously need to discuss that in detail with my lawyers. They have not had the time to, go through this judgment in deep detail and how it will affect the UK situation. But in general, I mean, winning as solidly as I did today with the quotes from the judge about, I mean, the judgment, for example, says that, or it declares that I had the reason to make the allegations I did back in 2019. Of course, it will affect UK, but to what degree and how, it's too early to say, and something we will need to dive into in the coming weeks and months.
And as you sort of progress forward and deal with the next headache in front of you, Hodlonaut, do you have any thoughts you want to share just about, this trial, the Oslo trial now being behind you and the decision coming through? I'm sure you must have a real great sigh of relief seeing and the feelings you and your family have right now.
Yeah, it's an it's an enormous relief. Of course, my stance before this judgment was that I was already happy because I knew that we had done well in the trial. I had spoken my simple truth. We presented years of very solid work documenting our case and documenting why Craig is not Satoshi Nakamoto. So all the things that were within my control, I was very happy with how it played out. And now even stuff that was outside my control, which is how the judge actually ruled, also happened in my favor. So it's amazing. And I'm very optimistic on the road forward, and I'm very motivated to, keep at it until all of this has gone away conclusively. So big relief, I feel, also a renewed sense of thankfulness for all the support I have gotten. I'm thankful that we have a working court system in Norway. I think the judgment was very solid. I respect the judge for the way she followed the trial. She was so turned on the whole time. And I think this judgment just underlines that she was not bamboozled by anything. The judge knows exactly what's up here.
And were you surprised at all at the way, those who maybe agree with Craig Wright's claims both handled themselves during the case as well as currently? Has there been any more difficulties or any pushback from that crowd?
Of course, there have been DMs and different types of attempted harassment. It doesn't really register much. I don't respect these people at all. I would say, I don't expect much from people who support Craig at this point. So anything they say and do registers very little with me.
And I want to, really emphasize a point, especially for the new audience members, people who are just tuning in and have no idea who Craig Wright is. If you do, bless you for not knowing the headache of Craig Wright. But as we all know, Satoshi remained anonymous for good reason. And the importance of maintaining that anonymity goes far deeper than just being able to secure a very large amount of Bitcoin held up in some wallet somewhere. Mills, Hodlonaut, do you mind just really emphasizing to some of our newer audience members like what the importance of this case means just for the Bitcoin community as a whole, as well as Bitcoin itself?
For me personally, I would say it's mostly a matter of not letting yourself be bullied, not backing down on something you believe in, like trusting that sticking to your principles and sticking to truth will get you through a situation, even if there are a lot of unknowns. That's for me personally the big one here, because I certainly did not want to end up in this situation. It happened by chance. But when it happened by chance, I'm just so happy that I managed to, walk the walk on the stuff that I believe is important. And in the larger picture regarding Bitcoin, I think Wright certainly has an expiry date, regardless of my cases, but it's really important that we as a community manage to pull together at certain times when we are confronted with people or processes that threaten the ethos of Bitcoin or threatens members of this community. And I think this community has really stepped up in this case, which is why I register myself that I'm probably a broken record, like always saying that I'm so thankful for the support, but there's a reason I'm saying it, and that's that the community really has stepped up and come together around me in this case.
I mean,
sorry, I think to that point too, what has happened defending BTC, came through this case, but it stands for something so much bigger as well with the OpenSats Legal Defense Fund. So it's not just for this case. It might have gotten the attention through this case, but it stands to continue to protect the truth. And that's, that is a legacy, and that is, to your point, Hodlonaut, the community really coming together. And it's not just this specific instance, it's to protect other people that might find themselves in similar situations for, similar behavior.
Yeah, I think this property of Bitcoin and Bitcoiners is, it becomes apparent again and again. And it really is clear that if you come into this space and starts messing or fucking with the principals or the members, there you will meet some opposition. There will be some consequences. You can't just do that in this space. Even the decentralized entity that is the spirit of Bitcoin will get annoyed and will come together to take you out.
There was a lot of talk in court from the opposition about the toxicity within the Bitcoin community, and in some ways there is a real beautiful side to that of being willing to speak up, being willing to. I'm not saying all toxic behavior is with good intentions, but there is a bravery that was very cited, and I feel like Hodlonaut's lawyers were very my hat is off to them in the way that they were able to understand Bitcoin and Bitcoin culture to the degree that then they could explain to the judge. And there is an understanding, I think, on some level of that this is a community. This is, a virtual, even though there is no such thing maybe as Bitcoin community, it's pockets of people that are like-minded or that are choosing to stand for something. But I think that really did come out throughout the court case as well.
Yeah, I was out with my lawyers like less than a week ago, actually, to kind of have a few beers and debrief the trial. We did not expect the verdict or the judgment to come in this quickly. We were kind of looking at November 8th or even later, possibly. But what I can say is that my lawyers, they have, I think it was pretty clear that they are very intrigued and fascinated and I think impressed with the Bitcoin community. And there is some orange pilling happening there, and which is kind of expected whenever people are exposed enough to Bitcoin. They will kind of pick it up. So that was cool to see.
Is there, and this is an honest question, is there any chance that there can be an appeal for this ruling? That
I was about to ask the same thing. I was like, excuse the ignorant Americans here, but
yeah, Craig and Calvin has already announced it on Twitter that they will definitely appeal, and I don't doubt that they will. I don't think that's going to end well. As you may know, we tried to get at least one witness in mid-trial because Dustin Trammell had a couple of points to take up with Craig regarding what he said in his testimony. And there was more than one thing in Craig's testimony that, that we would like to revisit if there is an appeal, which will be nice. And I think in Norway, as far as I understand, it's almost automatic that you will be granted an appeal if you want it. So I have to be prepared that there will actually be an appeal. But at this moment, it doesn't matter to me at all. I won this fucking thing conclusively. I won on all counts. The footage of the trial is out there for everyone to see. Basically, come at me, Craig. Appeal, do whatever you want to do. You're gonna lose.
And I mean, I can't say something that bold, and it's amazing to hear it. But
I fucking love you, Hodlonaut, man. I want to get really quickly, Hodlonaut. I want to give you the opportunity to just speak directly to just the entire community. I know you've said how thankful you are, and you've said it. But if you wanted to just speak directly, not to Mills or I, but just to the community out there who has followed along and supported you in any way they could.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thanks a lot from the bottom of my heart. It's these last 3 years have been, I think, transformative for me. I'm exactly the same person I was 3 years ago, but I've proven things to myself that I still hadn't proven back then. And all this support is part of the reason why I've been able to prove it. So I will never forget these years, and I notice, even if I don't have time to answer all these comments of support, I notice them, and I really appreciate everything of it. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's been kind of a wild, there's been so much support even behind your back in a good way, Hodlonaut, of just, so much of the community, even at Bitcoin Amsterdam, so many people spoke with me about the trial and, have been so invested in this. And in many ways, it's almost, you didn't choose this, to be something you're very known for, but this has become such a big thing, and you've handled it so well. And there's just so much respect in the community for your character and your consistency. And this has been a very long process. It started over 3 years ago. And one thing that really stood out to me about, we did a couple interviews before court, after court, but the way in which you took it all very seriously, not just for yourself, but really for truth. And you said something to the effect that you didn't have to study up or memorize, what your statement would be. You had to tell the truth on the stand. And that level of character and integrity, I think, is something that just really stands out and has been really amazing to be able to be involved. And I know being able to help spread, putting the footage of testimonies and witnesses and being able to share the court, this was such a team effort. And there have been so many people that have supported and made this all possible. And it's just the community is really, truly wonderful. And I'm excited to kind of see if this can shift some of the momentum. I know there's a lot of ongoing cases as well, but this has been such a monumental win. So I'm happy you're focused on the win and not the future and appeal and whatever.
Yeah. If I'm not gonna enjoy the win right now, then when the hell am I gonna enjoy myself? So I'm totally gonna suck on this caramel for quite a few days and just, be proud of myself and be proud of Bitcoin and proud of you guys and proud of everyone who came together to help me get this result.
And best case scenario, you don't have to apply for any of the OpenSat's legal defense, and it can go to other cases. I mean, that's another. It's not like this. You just won a bunch of money in the lottery that you can go retire now. This is all of the Bitcoin and fiat that was raised is has to be by the OpenSat legal defense fund, and that's something that anyone that's going through cases like this can apply for this grant. And this, hopefully, I mean, as the verdict says, all of the legal expenses are covered by Craig Wright in what the judge handed down. I don't know if that could change in the appeal or anything, but as of now, it's a complete win.
Absolutely. Uh, it's important to note that, I mean, Craig has now been part of this judgment was that he now has to pay, what was it, like $400,000.
Yeah.
He already owes me money from a previous judgment on him having to pay me. That was like $60,000, I think. But both the money that Craig now will have to pay me and the OpenSats funds, none of this money is like gonna go into my pocket in any way. I've been lucky enough to have support before this fundraiser as well. So, it's not like I'm celebrating suddenly having $400,000 between my hands or anything. Because, I mean, I'm not even sure if he's going to pay it, to be honest. I mean, he doesn't have a great track record of settling his debts, so we'll see.
Maybe he'll send you some BSV.
Yeah, maybe I will get $5,000 bounty or something. Who knows? But yeah, I'm really happy that money has been raised for this legal fund. Now I will start looking at how to deal with the UK proceedings, which unfortunately still is a thing. And if we manage to get all of this bullshit dealt with, and there is still money in the OpenSats fund, that's just amazing, because I'm sure this is not the last time deep pockets will try to mess with Bitcoiners.
Mills, could you just walk our audience, especially those who came in late? I know Hodlonaut alluded to the UK trial coming up. Can you just help our audience? What exactly did the Oslo trial find and decide, and what is sort of the UK trial, what is being determined there?
The Oslo case was over 9 tweets from 2019, and it was actually a case initiated by Hodlonaut in response to the initial reach out from Craig Wright. And the case in Norway, for the judge to make that ruling of whether it was libel or defamation, these 9 tweets in question, had to have a base understanding whether or not what Hodlonaut was saying was true. And the accusations and the defamation in question and libel was that Craig Wright is a fraud. And so the judge had to come to a fundamental decision whether what Hodlonaut was saying was defamation or whether that was actually a consensual agreement. And that's the verdict that she found, was that he was not the only one saying this, that this had been very well backed up and is the general opinion held.
Yeah, she basically ruled that I had good grounds for making the tweets I did. But the UK case, it's the same case. It's the
but it's only one tweet.
Yeah, exactly, and that's part of why they managed to like technically bamboozle the UK judges into. I mean, it was first thrown out, and then they managed on an appeal to make it stand there, which is very unfortunate. But of course, it's the same case. It's about a tweet where I say that Craig is not Satoshi, and yeah, it's very stupid. I still have hope that we will manage to deal with this UK situation in a sane manner, but if it goes to a full trial in the UK too, then so be it.
Has anyone said like one small step for space cap, one giant leap for Bitcoin kind? Has anyone done that yet?
Maybe in a different, slightly different flavor. At least I've been thinking it that this was a big step today, like a huge step, and it was. I didn't expect the judgment this early, so I was kind of surprised yesterday when I suddenly got an email from my lawyer saying the judgment is coming tomorrow. So I was very eager to know the result, and I was aware of kind of how big of a deal it is. It was a huge deal. So super happy, and proud of seeing. I don't know, just truth winning over something that is very far from truth.
Guys, I'm having an absolute ball talking to the two of you, but I do have Jimmy Song and Joe Carlosari in the green room right now. Hodlonaut, I will give you the final word to wrap up here. Any final thoughts that you want to share? If you wanted to just say FCSW, you have a mic.
I'm not going to say that, but I'll leave it up to the audience to speculate on what I may be thinking inside my head. But what I will say is I'm sharing a bottle of bubbly water with my family right now, and I invite everyone who has supported me or is happy about the judgment today to have a glass to celebrate with me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Hodlonaut. Thank you, Mills, for joining us. We're going to cut to a commercial break, but before we do that, I do want to remind everyone that tickets for Bitcoin 2023 are available now. Use promo code BMLive to get 10% off of those. Ticket prices will be going up soon. This event will happen in Miami, May 18th to the 20th.